Hi, everyone. Lori Flasco here. I have the privilege of interviewing and meeting amazing people around the world, and I think they're kindness ambassadors. And today is joining me is Lisa Schmidt. And let me just tell you a little bit about her background. She is a coach, a public speaker, and I love this. She helps organizations, in addition to strategy, to really focus on a culture in a meaningful way. And she is also a co-host of a podcast, Diversity and Inclusion, and the Different People podcast. Did I say that right, Lisa?
Absolutely said that right. Yes. Thank
So
you.
welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me. And what really attracted me to speaking with you today is the cool things that you did during COVID and some of the things that you learned. So back me up to that time. Tell me a little bit about your focus and even the impact, Lisa.
Yeah. And first of all, Lori, thank you for inviting me. I love that you're focusing on kindness. I know there is a lot of kindness in the world, but sometimes we need to lift the cover up and go looking for it a little bit. So the fact that you're just bringing so much of these great stories to light is just, it's very heartwarming. So yeah, the beginning of COVID, so I'm casting my mind back to March. I live half the time in Toronto, and half the time I have a log cabin up in the Kawarthas, which is about 3 hours north of where I live in the city. And I know somebody up there, a friend of mine, who runs a factory. And he's been at this business for 24 years. And what he builds is essentially body armor. Now, what I mean by that is it's designed for people who are snowmobilers or dirt bike riders in the same way you would wear a helmet on your head. It's protective wear for the body so that you're very safe if you, in the event you're in an accident, that you're essentially your whole torso is protected. He has a reputation in the industry of being the go-to guy around safety when you're doing what they call power sports. Now, COVID hits and everything is shut down. He has a factory full of sewing machines and women who are extremely talented at being able to design new custom, PPE for the body, right? And so he applied to the government to get to retool and to get an exemption or to be invited to produce PPE. And it took an entire community to advocate on his behalf because, of course, he wasn't seen as the creator of gowns and booties and masks. But the local community pulled together, and his name is Steve Brand. And
Steve Brand?
he was able, he was able to, through his company, Tekrider, to be able to bring all the staff in, and of course with very tight protocols around safety and hand sanitizing and social distancing in the factory, and start creating initially masks and then gowns for healthcare providers. And I just want to underscore one thing. When COVID hit, the vast majority of needs for healthcare were in large centers. Now in the Kawarthas, there are many hospitals, clinics, tons of seniors residences. These are people in these jobs who could not get their hands on PPE. So Steve's focus was really to help his local community, and he invited me in to help coordinate the community response to COVID.
Wow, amazing. Now, this is a question that I really want to find out because I think there's more to the story too. During this time when COVID hit, there was many businesses that shifted, that pivoted to do things that kept their business going, certainly to help out, their employees. I mean, that was amazing that you have to do that. But I think where the kindness came in was a little bit different here. It wasn't just about making money and keeping that business afloat. It was so much more. Tell me about that piece, Lisa.
Yeah, so this is something that is remarkable about the decision-making that Steve and his team made. They decided they were not going to profit from this. So everything that was from the gowns, the little bonnets for your head, the masks, everything was done at cost. So when you were buying something, you were paying for the fabric and you were paying for the labor. That's it. And the thinking behind it was, we got to pull in together. Like, this is not a time to leverage our profitability. This is a time to really come together for the community. And there's a little backstory to this that to me kind of underscores, when we talk about kindness, Lori. Steve was for many years in the reserves of the Canadian Army as a peacekeeper. And most of his experience was in Sierra Leone back in the 90s and helping build schools for children. Like, he comes from a place of, we're not just there to so-called keep the peace. If we're going to go into another country as Canadians, we have to leave the place better than we found it. And so the things that he would do, like he would do all kinds of amazing like drives in Canada. So for instance, just around shoes and socks, so that people could, not be barefoot in some of these smaller villages, collecting money for school books, all kinds of remarkable things he did. So when I think of how he led and managed in COVID, it came from who he originally was. And I'm deeply grateful to actually be a friend of his, because I find him profoundly motivating around me digging into my own altruistic tendencies. Because when you see other people act in this way, it really highlights the part of you, I think, that can be even stronger and more powerful in stepping into your own kindness.
I think that is just so amazing. Thank you for saying that, because I know you're a kind person, yet Steve has brought that out in you more. And when you watch his example, when you see him doing this, not just once, but this is who he is, it is inspiring for all of us, and for all of us to say, you know what, he does it, I can do it too. I mean, I love that story. That's amazing. And it's humanity, right, Lisa?
Yeah, for sure.
What a heart he has for other people. The peace, the factory, it's all important stuff. It's tasks, it's things that we need, but he's gone into a deeper level. And I think that's where the kindness stems from. It's such a deeper level, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there are many ways to make a living, right? There's things we exchange our energy for and money comes back to us. But to me, and especially as I get older, to me, it's about making a life. And part of making a life is really engaging with other people, and this philosophy, that Steve has and many other people have, which is about leaving the place better than you found it. And this can be the smallest thing. It can be picking up litter when you go somewhere, right? It could be letting somebody in line ahead of you at a grocery store. Like these, I mean, sometimes I think it's the tiniest things that have the greatest impact. Because if you do them consistently over a period of time, like you're actually changing the world that you live in. You're demonstrating to the world that the world is friendly and that there are people who see you and want the best for you. And that to me is the kind of world I want to live in.
I love that. And I'm going to put you in quotes. You're making a life. And you're right. I mean, they might seem like small things, letting that person in front of you, but the impact even to that person in front of you now is like, well, maybe I need to let somebody else in front of me. And we know that research shows that one act can lead to 4 more. So you are putting your footprint, your fingerprint on the world, and it has, far bigger reaches than we can ever imagine, bigger impact. So thank you. Now, I think all of that goes along with why you volunteered with this organization. Tell me about that, and what's the impact been?
Yeah, I mean, it's when Steve told me what he was doing, I immediately felt like I want to be a part of this. I really want to be a part of helping this community. And the part that I haven't shared with you yet is that there were people working inside in the factory, but we put out a call to the community. and said, if anybody wants to contribute to this, because you're basically contributing to the seniors residents in your area, you're contributing to your local hospital, your local small physician, any, the local businesses that were still open. And we had about, I don't know, maybe 15 people come to us and say, I want to donate my time and energy to be able to do this. So my role was really helping sort out who's the driver, who's sewing, who's picking up what, and making sure, first of all, that everything was safe, handing out masks and hand sanitizer to anybody who was involved in this project. But I also was deeply compelled to do this because people were feeling a lot of anxiety. I mean, there still is, obviously, there's an uncertainty to COVID and the future. But at that time, I really wanted to be a part of helping people do something that gave them focus and that was additive, that was making a difference in their own lives. And I got to meet remarkable people doing this. I mean, I felt so like I was being paid by building relationships with people who'd lived in the community for a long time, who were maybe a retired nurse or whose son was a paramedic. And what was lovely was Steve's company agreed that everybody would get COVID tested. And as I'm driving into the Halliburton Hospital to get my COVID test, everybody there is wearing a gown that was made by Tekrider. And they said, it was so lovely because they said, oh my God, we're so happy that we're not wearing the disposable stuff because we don't like what that does for the environment. These gowns are comfortable. They fit true to size. I can wear this gown all day. And there was a pride in the people even wearing. So it was beyond just, hey, I've got a mask or hey, I've got a gown. There was this whole other element to this. And that really brought, I loved being a part of that. It just felt so, when you talk about building community and connection, it was so powerful at a time of great uncertainty to feel a part of that.
And something you will never forget, relationships that, I mean, maybe they're not going to be necessarily part of your life, but you're never going to forget those people or what you accomplished and what you did. And I love that it is, you talked about the pride, but you had a chance to bring your skill, which is bringing people together and coaching and all of that, to the moment of the people that you were working with. But you also saw it as an opportunity to help them during this fearful time, which went beyond, which meant that you're helping the hospitals and the seniors. So there were so many different layers and elements to that. And wow, what an amazing opportunity and outcome as a result.
When we all long in our lives to make some difference. And I know just for me personally that my work is most meaningful when I can feel that little bit of a contribution, and I mean, that maybe makes me sound selfish, but what I realize is that we're all a part of making things better. I mean, maybe we're also part of making things worse if we're going the downward spiral, but I really see and believe that people crave being able to make a difference and make a contribution. That's what makes you feel good. And that when you feel good, you keep treating other people well and with kindness. And so it's kind of like an upward spiral.
It is. It's exactly that. But isn't it interesting that human nature makes us all of a sudden say, maybe I'm self-centered or selfish by saying this, yet the power of doing this, there's such a benefit to more so than everyone else. And at the same time, we feel good. We're always looking for ways to feel happy. And this is just a profound way to do that.
Yeah. Someone said to me years ago who was running a volunteer organization, and I was explaining having felt good about having done something. And she says, oh yeah, we call that the giver's high.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, because just exactly what you said, am I selfish for enjoying the fact that I've, done this thing? But in fact, I think we're designed on some level to get a hit from doing good things. And if you want to feel more of that hit, well, you just keep doing good things, right?
Keep giving it. Yeah. So I want to ask you about Steve.
Yes.
tell me about him as far as, I'm looking at kindness and leader. What is kindness? What's about Steve? What would you say his characteristics are? I mean, he's a businessman. He's making some tough decisions along the way. So how does kindness fit into that as a leader? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Laurie, because I think we often think in dichotomies, like you're either tough or you're nice. You're either like hard-nosed or you're a pushover. And I think what I would say about Steve is he embodies this blend of firm, right? Like there are things like, we obviously have to do the right thing by, following legislation and safety protocol, and we got to be really clear that we do those things and we do them well. We fulfill our customers' expectations. The quality of all of that is there, right? So that's firm and solid, but it's the how you do it, right? We do it by making sure people feel that they've been listened to. We do it by making sure that we're actually meeting the need that's there. So a lot of it is around paying attention, listening, and responding, as opposed to, okay, we got to run this business and we're going to do that. We're going to do the what, but we're equally going to focus on the how. So it's an and, right? It's not that dichotomy that we often think about around business.
That's a great way of looking at it. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate your time to speak with us today. Is there anything else that you want to add in?
Well, I just want to, I'm piggybacking on what I said earlier about how you're going for these stories of kindness. I think we have a real opportunity collectively to look at, with the disruption of COVID, with many of the issues in the world, is how do we want to respond? And it's going from reacting from a sense of panic and uncertainty to responding. And, the more that we can take a pause, and when we're living with this, to kind of, make a choice about how we want to be with other people. I can't remember who said this, but the quote is be kind to everyone, because everyone, is having a tough life or a bad day. And often you can be, or I can be, or any of us can be the moment that turns someone's day around. And I think that we're blessed in that we can, with a simple act, make such a huge difference. And I kid you not, there are times in which I've, got up on the wrong side of the bed, or, I'm overthinking something. And the smallest thing that somebody does, I was going to say a smile, but we're all wearing masks now, so it's hard to see. But you can see people smiling with their eyes. But
Yes.
literally, like, hey, you go first, or you get into the elevator first, I'll wait for the next one, I'm not in a hurry. Like, these small things can really turn a day around. And I think over time can really help us see, as I said earlier, that the world is I believe, a safe and friendly place. And it's all of us adding our little bit to that makes the biggest difference.
Biggest difference. Thank you. I want to remind, or just let folks know, Lisa, first of all, I think you're brilliant and so wise. And just as Steve maybe did for you, you did that for me today. You inspired me. And I know you're writing a book. What is the name of your book?
Well, my book is called Leader Shift. And it's getting out of the idea that we can train people to be leaders and to really focus on people being better people. There's a lot I can say about that, and I won't go into it, but I'm deeply passionate, and it actually links a lot to kindness, which is how do we help steward and develop and catalyze what's best in people, as opposed to trying to control them and be authoritative and create a bunch of rules around how the workplace should be. And again, I think COVID has opened the door for how we can really help people dig deep into their creativity and come up with new ways of working that maybe we couldn't do before because of how more structured our working lives were.
Well, thank you. I really look forward to that book coming out, because I think we need it more than ever before. And so, Lisa, thank you. Thanks
Laurie, delighted to be here.